lead from Southridge, and now a an educator in Paref Northfield School. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our speaker today, Mr. Ferold Rutch Regencia.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much, Mr. Antoy. Let me just share my screen so we can start with our talk right away because we're given only 1 hour to do so. Okay. Um, okay. Slideshow. Yun. Okay. So can I be heard clearly? Okay, naririnig naman ako, no? Can someone please confirm? Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Antoy. Okay, so this afternoon, okay, our topic has to do with calm in the chaos, okay? Classroom management that actually works. It's important for us to realize that classroom management is a necessary thing for all the teachers to actually do inside the classroom. How many of us have actually experienced a chaotic classroom? I have. Mr. Antoy mentioned that I've been teaching for like 35 years. This is my 36th year of teaching, all in the PAREF system. And in those years, I must admit that I had problems with classroom management in my first few years of teaching. I remember clearly in 1990, okay, we were still allowed to do some corporal punishments at that time. No, we were allowed to ask students to squat, to do pumps, do some carrying of the water jug, push-ups, and so forth. No, and I realized that the more I do that, the more the students misbehave because they actually love doing it. And so what happened? Chaos. There was chaos inside my classroom. There were days that when the school bus would arrive, the school, my heart would palpitate, and I would tell myself, I don't want to go down from this school bus. I don't want to go inside the classroom. I just want to go home. I just want the day to end. That was my life back then. In fact, teachers now are very lucky because we have seminars like this. That's why thanks to Mr. Manrentoy, because we're able to know some techniques that actually work in terms of classroom management. Why do I say that they actually work? Because I myself practice them. And I think experience is the best teacher. That's why it's good for you to attend seminars like this because you have speakers who have gone through the using actual techniques. Let me begin by talking about these three terms. Number one, classroom management. Number two, calm. Number three, chaos. Okay. There is a term in philosophy which we call binary oppositions. I must admit that when I encounter the words calm and chaos, I would consider them as binary oppositions because binary oppositions refer to terms that are related but have opposite meanings. Okay, that's why when we speak of calm, it's a state of peace and quiet, while chaos is a state of complete disorder and confusion. So what do we do? If there's calm, if there's chaos, we have to make sure that the classroom becomes a calm classroom. That's why it's important that we talk about classroom management. And classroom management, to simply put it, is creating a good learning environment. That's the simplest term or definition that I can give you with regard to classroom management. So let me proceed by remember the experience I went through. No? So did I improve later on? Okay. Remember, I was a new teacher. Okay. Let us first go into understanding classroom chaos. So the first term, okay, chaos. Okay. What are the sources of chaos and the psychological cost of chaos? In other words, where is there chaos? And then what happens to us when there is chaos inside the classroom? It's important that we focus on these two aspects so that we realize that, okay, chaos, a chaotic classroom is not good also for the teachers, not just to the students. Learning, it's bad for learning, and it's also not good for us teachers. Let us start. What are the sources of chaos? Okay, number one, letter A, you have the student misbehavior, then teacher habits and external factors. When we speak of student misbehavior, we're talking about students who do not listen, students who are noisy, students who run around, students who are playing with gadgets, Um, I have experienced that myself in my grade 11 class who were asked to use laptops, but they do not actually use it for educational purposes, but they actually play games. And one of them was actually caught. And so if there is misbehavior, definitely there's chaos inside the classroom. What about teacher habits? Huh? You might ask me, wait, teacher habits can cause chaos inside the classroom? Oh, yes. How? If the teacher is not prepared, you can cause a chaotic classroom. The teacher can cause chaotic classroom if you are not prepared. Because the moment you enter, the students can sense that. The students can smell if a teacher is prepared or not. When the teacher enters and it starts shouting and get size for paper for a quiz or short essay, huh, they can sense this teacher is not ready, is not prepared. That is why it's important the teacher will have to come in prepared. Everything. You have to be like a military, a soldier, okay, with all of your ammunitions ready, okay, so that the students will not have that opportunity to create chaos. Letter C is external factors. What are these external factors? External factors are the ones that are beyond our control. For example, noise outside the classroom can also cause chaos inside the classroom because if it's noisy outside, the students will not be able to focus. Students or classrooms without air condition, okay, can actually cause chaotic classrooms because the students will be uneasy. They will not be able to sit down properly for a long time kasi mainit sa classroom. Okay. If you remember, there were instances where in classes were called off and DepEd decided to have online classes because masyadong mainit. It was too hot during the summer times. That's why they reverted back to June, the opening of classes. Those are samples of external factors or schedules, no? Yung schedule na masyadong cramped. I would say yung mga shortened period na yan. Like even in our school, we have shortened periods because if there are practices done after lunch, there's shortened period. And I'm telling you, masyadong fast-paced. And if you're not able to cope, chances are there will be chaos. Okay? So upon learning the sources of chaos, what happens naman to us, okay, because of a chaotic classroom? There's stress and burnout of teachers. It's important that we do our job and do our job well. When we get tired after a whole day's work, that's okay. But if we get tired and get burned out because of disciplining our students, that's another story. I remember teachers back then when you say, napagod ako after a day's work. That's okay. Okay, I remember Mr. Antoy would say, that's okay, Rutch. That means you did something today. You did a good job, pagod ka. Pero iba yung napagod ako dahil sa kakasigaw. I got tired because I was just shouting. No, I remember again when I was a new teacher, I would be shouting. At the end of the day, I would go to the faculty room tired because of that. Okay, and also lost learning time for students. It's just like saying that if you have a 50-minute class and all you did was to discipline the students and control them, you might just spend 15, 20, 30 minutes of your time just calling their attention. And 20 minutes would be to teach. And 20 minutes would be learning, okay? Learning taking place. So those are the effects of a chaotic classroom towards the teacher. That's why it's important for us to note, I pointed it in the slide, that classroom management is not control, it's leadership. If the teacher can lead the students, then that would be perfect because that means you're able to manage the class. Take note of the term manage. It is not control. Please take note. Management is not control. It's not controlling the students. It is leadership. Okay, it's important for us to take note of that so that we realize that when we enter the classroom, we are a leader. We are not a controller. We are not a tyrant leader, but we are a leader that can manage the class. But how are we going to do this? That's the next question. Let me now proceed to the three pillars of calm. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. Now, very simple techniques, but very effective because, as I mentioned a while ago, I'm able to do these techniques and able to manage my class and start my class right away and be able to really utilize the 50 minutes, the 50-minute period that is given at least in my subjects at Parif Northfield School. I teach in English grade 3, English grade 4, and philosophy in grade 11. So you could just imagine, no? I have to I have to manage, no, the senior high school, and then I also go down to the grade school and I have to manage them. Now, of course, you might ask me which is easier, Mr. Rensha, to manage. Is it the senior high school or the grade school students? If you're gonna ask me, you're gonna ask me, both are easy. Both are easy, I'm telling you. If you have the classroom management skills. Okay. I'm not gonna brag about you about these things, but I'm just gonna share with you. It's like paying it forward to the teachers. I remember when I gave a talk over the summer, I mentioned to the teachers that I've learned this statement from Dr. Carvalho when he gave a talk at Paris Southern School, when he said that at my age now, I think he was the same age as what where I am now, no, what am my age now. And he said something like, at my age now, I don't anymore live for myself. I live for others. That's why when we do these things, I keep on telling myself, I'm living for others. I live for my students. No, I help Mr. Rento, I give out seminars, okay, so that we help each other out. Number one, we have to keep in mind that we have to have clear routines. What are routines? Maybe you've been doing this already, but then at least I can share with you my own experiences in applying clear routines in my classes. Number two, predictable consequences. What are these? And number three, teacher tone. Okay, do I make good use of the three? Yes, I do. Let's begin with number one. What are clear routines? It's a set of regular actions. Take note, regular actions or steps that students and teachers follow every day. Or in the case of those who are not daily subjects, follow every meeting to keep the classroom organized, calm, and predictable. Okay. Um, this is important that you have to start this at the beginning of the school year. I tried this before in the middle of the school year when I was asked, not in fact middle, when I was asked to teach the grade 2 class 2 years ago, like in the third term. It is quite difficult because they already have developed the habits. But if you start it at the beginning of the year, that will be perfect. If not, at least if 1 month has passed, 2 months have passed, pwede pa. Okay? What have I done in order to make the classroom more calm? Number one, the routines. Okay, I gave examples there, no? Entry and exit routines. At the beginning of my first period, at my first class, okay, of the school year, this is exactly what I've started with. I did not start right away with the orientation. I told them that we have to start with our routine. And what is that? Entry and exit routines. For example, before I enter the classroom, they all have to be seated. I have to tell them that. I have to explain to them, you have to be seated. You have to be quiet. I won't enter the classroom if there's anybody who is not paying attention. And then I go out of the classroom. And then I peep inside. There's a window. Okay, there's a window by the door. I peep inside. If they are all seated and quiet, that's the only time I enter. And then I ask them to stand. And then I ask the prayer leader to stand beside me and start with the prayer. Okay? And then we do it again. It's not enough to do it once. We do it again, even if this is not the no the actual situation. It is just like we are role playing right now. Yes, we are role playing, but that's okay because that is where the students. One technique is actually role playing for students to learn. So I go out again, and then I enter, and then I ask the prayer leader to stand beside me, and then I go out for the third time, and then I enter, and then that's it. We start with the prayer. And it's important, by the way, that these routines will have to coordinate it with the whole school. With the whole school. It's not just Mr. Hensha doing it in his English class. It has to be the whole school. We have to be united when it comes to our prayer. Okay, what will be the prayer that the boys will be reciting, the students will be reciting, the prayer leaders will be reciting? What will be the beginning prayer? What will be the ending prayer? Okay. Uh, What will they say? Like the students will actually say, "Are you ready, classmates?" And then they count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then classmates let us pray in the name of the Father and of the Son. See, the students know that. And it's like a second nature on their part. But again, the whole school, we have to be united in doing this so that everybody will say, okay, it's not just in Mr. Regencia's class. Okay, hindi siya pasikat. We are not there to be popular. We are there to make sure that everybody is united with what we are doing because we're talking about classroom management. Number two, transition signals. I'm not sure if you heard of this, but I heard this when Dr. Harry Wong, okay, which Mr. Rentoy introduced to us, okay, um, he was the one who actually taught us these signals, no? And I make good use of those. Okay. In fact, you can have different variation. Okay. Like in my case, for example, when I do the countdown, okay, have you ever had a subject that comes after PE? Okay, I do. Okay, my grade 4 English class every Thursday comes after PE. And you could just imagine after PE class, they have to dress up, and most of the students would be talking, chit chatting, shouting, laughing. And if you don't do anything about it, it will take them 15 minutes to be able to finish dressing up. And your time in my English club class will have been consumed just by these boys changing back to their school uniform. So what can we do? We can do the countdown. We can do the countdown. So I enter the classroom and I tell them, okay, change to your upper garment, okay, school uniform, upper garment, 1, 2, 3 until 10. And then after that, I proceed, change to your school pants, 1, 2, 3. So it becomes like a daily rhythm, as what was described in one of the books, that classroom management is like a daily rhythm. Para kang nagda-drums, no? Pak, 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 pak. And they are fast and they move fast. And these are grade 4 students, no? And then after 10 more counts, the shoes, and then they put it in their bags, and then they get their textbooks. Voila, you're done. 5 minutes, maybe at the most 5 minutes, as opposed to 15 to 20 minutes that they actually change back to their school uniform. And that's an example of classroom management because you're able to manage the time. Even if you tell yourself, hindi naman ako PE teacher, I'm not the PE teacher, so why should I be the one to be there to help them change back to their school uniform? But the PE teacher has another schedule for his PE class. Okay, so you take advantage of that and be the one to do the classroom. Anyway, it's already your subject time. 5 minutes stops. And then you start with the class. And then they remember the routine. Okay? They all sit down, wait, and keep quiet. And I give the signal for them to stand. And the student's leader, prayer leader, stands beside me. That's an example of a countdown. I remember some teachers would be raising their hand and tell the students, look at Mr. Rancha's hand. Okay? And they all look up and they keep quiet. That's another way of keeping them quiet. Okay, what about materials and seating? Okay, in my English class, they're required to have their English textbook. They have three. They have the English textbook, they have the Mastering Handwriting, and they have the SRA Power Builders book. So they know which days they will actually, which books they will use for specific days. And then when I enter the classroom, they have to have their books with them. They know when to use the book, what book to use, and that's part of the routine. Because you don't have to tell them, okay, gentlemen, get your mastering handwriting book. They know already because it's part of the routine. Today is Wednesday. We'll have mastering handwriting. Today is Friday. We'll have SRA, Power Builders book. So it's part of the routine. That's what the materials mean. They know when to put their materials, they know when to get them, they know when to put them back in the bags. Okay? And seating arrangement, of course, is very important because you cannot just allow them to sit anywhere they want to. At the beginning of the school year, I know Mr. Rentoy would actually do this. He has specific names of specific students in the chairs. So they know where to go, they know what to do, they know where to sit down, okay, because they have a specific sitting arrangement. Unless you notice that there's something that is troubling you because students are talking and they're very chummy, they're very friendly already with each other, they're very familiar. So maybe that's a time you can actually change the sitting patterns. Okay. And very important, I place an asterisk in the slides for interactive activities because all of us know that interactive activities would mean that we allow students to participate in specific activities. It could be group work, it could be class recitation, it could also mean games. Okay. But I also include the passing of papers as part of interactive activities. In fact, um, in fact, it is important that the students know where to pass, how to pass, what to do with the paper before it reaches the front. Okay? And it's not going to be easy, of course. You have to teach them that at the beginning of the school year when you have your first FA, you have your first SA, okay? And then when you ask them to pass, you give them the instructions first. You tell them pass in front, the person in front of you, the person in front of you gets it. You put the paper of the person behind you. Okay, you put your paper on top of the person behind you and then pass it forward. And then you check. Once it reaches the front, you check if they properly submitted the papers and in the proper arrangement. And then you check it. And then if there's something wrong, you return it because that's where they learn. And then no noise. Because you say, no, 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 in front, you pass it. No, my paper should be on top. No, your paper, no. So they get to talk. Okay, stop. Let's do it again. Until such time that they know what to do. Class recitations. When we have activities, I only have like 9 students in philosophy. Okay. Um, they know what to do. They know the drill. In fact, that's what I always say later on. When they already know what to do, I always tell them, gentlemen, you know the drill. Okay. Pardon for saying gentlemen. I have all boys in my classes. No, I say gentlemen, you know the drill. Okay, pass the papers forward. And we are what? Seventh on our 7th week of school in Parif Northfield. And they have more or less done it. No? So I say, you know the drills. The drill, pass the paper forward, and they know what to do. For recitation, I tell my philosophy class students, they are seated on a U shape, no? So the tables are like one table, 3 students, the next table, 3 students, and the third table with the 3 students. And I say, okay, gentlemen, you know the drill. When I give a question, they recite, okay, and they know the drill. So one boy, next boy, third boy, fourth, and then we reverse, okay, because we have had the routine. And again, it makes the the pace much faster. That's why remember I mentioned about the daily rhythm. It's like you always think of it like drum, no? This is my daily rhythm. My classroom management is my daily rhythm. And then also very important to remember, you write your topics on the board unless you teach in the senior high school or high school, junior high school. Like in my case, when I teach philosophy, I don't write it on the board, but I tell them this is what we are expected to accomplish. You don't have to write your goals, your objectives. What I do is I write the topics and make it like a checklist so that I tell them, gentlemen, this is what we need to achieve today. Okay, students, these are what we need to achieve today. So that they look at the board and they say, okay, sir, let's achieve that. So it makes much the pace again much faster because you check it. Okay, we're done with number one. 3 at the most, or maybe you can extend up to 5. There was a time last week when we had 4 activities in one session, which is 15 minutes, and we were able to accomplish everything because we have the checklist. And so if there are students, because the students in their generation now, they love to tell stories. Like when you crack a joke, they're like, sir, can I tell a joke too? Can I tell a joke? The other boys say, can I tell? And in order for you to put a stop, okay, gentlemen, students, focus. We have 2 more activities to accomplish. If you want to tell a joke, you can share your jokes with me outside after class or maybe during lunch break, stuff like that. And they follow because we need to achieve those 3 items, no, on the board. And then it becomes an achievement on their part. And they're happy and they say, Sir, we're able to accomplish 3 activities today, 3 topics today. And they use that. They feel like they have achieved it themselves. But of course, I too feel it as an achievement also of my own achievement, rather. So that is why, what do? We teach, practice, and reinforce the routines like content. As what I mentioned a while ago, treat it like a subject matter. Okay? Don't take it for granted. Pag ulit-ulitin, you need to repeat it over and over again. Do it. And I'm telling you, they will remember. My students in grade 2, I have 2 students who are not so, um, what do I say, who are in the spectrum. And they're very hyperactive, but they're able to follow because of the routines. And all you need to do is tell them, okay, let's say Juan de la Cruz, remember our routine. And then he goes, yes, sir, sorry. And he says sorry. The other one doesn't say sorry though, but still, okay, sir, he looks at you and he looks remorseful. But then these students are very difficult to manage, no, to manage. Okay. But if we know our routines and they get to understand their routines, then you will have a calm classroom. Let's proceed to number 2. Okay. But before that, why are routines important or why does it matter? Because they help students know what to expect. They know what will happen. So if we're gonna do this, our classes will be fast. We start right away with the class. I want to learn more. That is why they matter. Number 2, they reduce confusion and prevent chaos. Okay? If you are prepared, if the teacher is prepared, and then they know the routine, okay, there's no confusion. Because, okay, we know what to do, sir. We stand up, we start with the prayer, we sit down, we start with the lesson. Okay? They make transitions like moving from one subject to another smoother. They make transitions smoother. Okay? Which is true. Because the moment we end the class, they just sit down and wait for the next teacher. And as soon as the next teacher arrives, they know what to do. They have the routine. Okay. As I said, it's important. The whole school will be one in coming up with your routine. And they help build a safe, structured learning environment. No time wasted. No time wasted. We manage, we don't control. Important statement to remember. And then we do number 2, predictable consequences. Of course, students know what will happen if they follow or break the rules. Every time, if they follow, they're rewarded. If they break the rules, corrective consequences. As simple as that. And if they know that, then we do positive reinforcements also. Because if we just give them sanctions like, oh, you're noisy, noisy, IR is incident report, no? Incident report for you, incident report. What happens to your class? Chaos. Because wala na, puro na lang mali. No, it's just all mistakes on the part of the students. What about those who do well? We have to praise them. We have to give them positive reinforcement so that the students will see who do those misbehavior, we see that, hey, wait, I have to do something good because the teacher will provide me with positive reinforcements. Yan. So it's important that they know this, that there are predictable consequences. Okay? Why is it important? Because it builds trust and fairness. They know teacher is fair because we already know about this. And that I trust my teacher that he will be fair too. It helps students make better choices. I'd rather listen, I'd rather keep quiet because I know the negative consequences or corrective consequences that will be given to me. Okay? Or positive reinforcement. Okay? And then it reduces confusion and arguments. No more arguments because the students already know what the consequences are. So therefore, you just keeps quiet. Say, okay, sir, yeah, I accept it because I know that that will happen because we talked about it already. We have had the routine and you've told us about the consequences. So no more arguments. Okay. Rather than I remember when I was a new teacher, naku, I love to argue. Or should I say, I hate to argue but I didn't know what to do. Okay. Students just answer back, and then you're like, what? You're answering back now? You're answering back now? We're talking about grade five students, huh? And looking back, I tell myself, I should have learned these techniques even before. Okay. And keeps the classroom calm and consistent. Okay. And we proceed to the third one, among the three pillars of calm. The third one is, of course, the teacher tone. I don't know if I can say that this works to my advantage because I have a low voice. Okay. Some people say that I have a bedroom voice. Nax. I'm sorry for that. But yeah, I have a low voice. And the moment I start talking, they have to be quiet for them to hear me. And then when I see somebody misbehaving, I lower my voice and keep it lower and lower until they don't hear me anymore. And the moment they don't hear the teacher talking, they themselves stop. And then they look at the teacher. If the teacher looks at them, they know, we are the ones that made the teacher stop from talking. Okay? But the tone, okay, should be with authority. Okay? Communicates with authority and calm more than words. Avoid na shouting, no? You, the both of you. I remember one teacher did that before, no? You and you, the both of you. Okay. And no more shouting. I have, I have passed that stage already. Okay. I just talk, okay, with authority, and they keep quiet. That's why the voice has to be firm but respectful. Okay, these are the elements of a teacher tone. The body language, the posture, no? Hindi pwede yung slouching, okay? That's why you have to have a good set of uniform para you'll be respected. Okay, show your presence and the movement. Don't just stay in one area. I remember Mr. Um, Estrera, a former colleague from Southridge, bless his soul. I remember he mentioned that in one of our talks in Southridge, and he said, be a moving target. Don't just stay in one corner. Be a moving target so that the students will follow you. Okay, they won't get bored because they're doing something. They follow your movements. You call them for recitation. Okay, you talk to them, look at them in the eye. Okay, very important. Okay, the movement. And then emotional control. No dramas. No? Calm even in provocation. No dramas. No, we cannot be like this teacher who actually um, FaceTime herself. I don't know if you've seen the video. It became viral. She FaceTime herself and then she started talking like very emotional. Like, kayo ba nagpapakain sa akin? Huh? Kayo ba nagpapasweldo? Like telling his students that, her students that, are you the ones feeding my family? Huh? Are you the ones who give me my salary? Of course, yeah. Students say yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Okay, no, but it became viral because she was very emotional, no? Okay? Parang putting the blame on the students that she cannot control the students in terms of their behavior. No, cannot be. We have to be calm, even in provocation. Okay? And no dramatics, no drama. Okay? Just tell them that, okay, let's keep quiet and let's continue. Okay? You know the drill. That's what I always tell them now. Gentlemen, you know the drill. I said, okay, sir, let's continue. So as simple as that. See how fast, no? Maingay, maingay, maingay. Okay, gentlemen, you know the drill. Pak, tahimik, continue with your lesson. That is why it's important that we know this, okay? We know these techniques. And then let's now go into focused correction. Okay, what is focused correction? Okay, we correct the behavior, not the child. Same is true with the person. No, we hate the sin, but not the sinner. That's why we correct the behavior, not the child. Okay, if the child committed a mistake, okay, we correct what he did, but we don't get mad at the child. Okay, he cannot lose his dignity. We cannot put him down. But we just tell him, this is what you did that was wrong. Let's correct that. You can chat with the person. Very important, by the way. In the system, the Paris system, we have a personal chat. You can have a personal chat with the student. Okay? Keep correction private when possible. This is what I meant by having a personal chat with the student. If you need to correct the person in private. If you don't want, by the way, in case it's inevitable that you call his attention, you call his attention. But you can tell him that let's talk outside after the class. So that, but you don't shout at the student and tell him, ikaw bastos ka. No, you're rude. Oh, you don't do that. And then the student will be, sir, okay, wow, I feel so, I feel so small because of what the teacher said. No, you just tell the person, okay, what you did was wrong. Let's talk outside. Okay, simple as that. And then you don't disrupt the class. It's already enough for him to be told that. Because the moment you tell him that, that's already a consequence. Nag-iisip na yan, naku, anong sasabihin ng, what will the teacher tell me? That's already enough consequence. Just for you to tell him, I'll see you outside. I'll talk to you outside. Okay? And then continue with the class. No more dramatics. You didn't even spend 30 seconds to talk to the boy or tell that boy what he did. Okay? And then be specific, be brief, and consistent. Wala nang drama. No more drama. Like you don't prolong the situation. Say, you know what? I'm so disappointed. I'm sorry. You hurt the teacher. Okay? No, 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 no. No, no more. OA. No, no. Overacting na yung teacher. Just be specific. This is what you did. You did. Be brief and be consistent. What one boy did, you have to correct the other boy also. No favoritism. No favoritism. Walang kaibigan. No? Walang kamag-anak. Okay? No relatives. Okay? You don't show them favoritism. That's why, what are the steps that we should do for focus correction? You state the behavior, state your expectation, and follow up calmly. That's why I gave an example here. Instead of saying, you're so noisy. Huh? You're referring to the person, masyado kang maingay, you're so noisy. You are noisy. You're focusing on the child. But instead of saying, okay, Juan de la Cruz, I need you to lower your voice to level 1. Tapos, no dramatics, no heart attacks. Continue. Okay, continue. And there's respect on both parts, student and the teacher. Okay, you state the behavior and then state your expectation. No, I expect more from you. Okay, let's do this. We can do this. Okay, the students like that. At least that's my experience. Students like that. They feel important when you tell them that I expect much from you. Okay, let's do this. Next meeting, let's see. Okay, when you talk to the student. That's why it's important that we have the so-called focused correction. And okay, the classroom calm checklist. Ayan. Come up with your own no checklist. But you can copy this, covering the following. Do you have clear routines? Ask yourself, was it effective? That is what is meant by clear routines. Was it effective? Okay. Did we get to did the students get to follow? Okay. Analyze. Or maybe I should reteach. Okay, reteach. Okay, so do I have clear routine? O baka hindi clear yung routine ko. Kaya hindi naintindihan. Maybe it's not clear. That's why the students didn't get to grasp the idea. Are the consequences consistent? Nako. We have to be consistent. Okay? What is true to one should be true to the other. Okay? Cannot be na, okay, oh, you're so kind naman, you're so intelligent. Okay, sige, I will not sanction you. No consequences. Mabait ka, no? Okay, you're so kind. Okay, am I modeling calm tone? Ayan. Teachers, very important. This will be like an examination of conscience. Ask yourself this. Am I modeling calm tone? Or am I the type who would shout and shout and shout inside the classroom? Okay? But if you are, continue. If you are not, do something about it. Do I apply focused correction instead of shouting? Mm. Again, examination of conscience. Am I reducing chaos or fueling it? Okay. Because the moment you shout, you're actually fueling chaos. Because the students will just be laughing at you. Say, teacher, oh, he's shouting out loud. She doesn't know that we actually like it. Because we make fun of her. Okay. So examination of conscience. And you can add more to this checklist if you want. Okay. You can in fact by the way, I almost forgot. Uh, Going back to what I mentioned about the routine, it's important, by the way, that you come up with your class goals at the beginning of the year. Sorry for saying this towards the end. It's important for you to come up with your own class goals and objectives because you as a class should be gearing towards one direction. And if you gear towards one direction, boom, that is classroom management as at its highest. And that's exactly something that Mr. Antoy has done in Southridge before. And when the school found out about it, the Mr. Antoy in himself actually suggested to the school that we come up with our own class goals. That's why at the beginning of the school year, we have our so-called class activities wherein we come up with our class goals, our class name, our class officers. Okay, they're all rolled into one because if you have those, the students will see that in their classroom and these are our goals, remember? Okay. So we have to achieve no IRs, no incident report for the whole year. No? Everyone should be in the honors, no? Whether it's second principals list or first honors. Okay. So that they're all up on their toes. And I'm telling you, when they see those goals, they will tell themselves, oops, we have to achieve this. I have to focus on my classes. I'm not doing well in math. I have to focus in math. I have to do something in science. So no time to misbehave because you are all geared okay, towards one direction. And then at the end of the year, you have your class excellence award. The students who have achieved the most, not the students, but the classes which have achieved the most are given the Class Excellence Award. And I know Mr. Rentoy's class would always get the Class Excellent Award. But then the nice thing is that you're not competing, okay, against the other classes. You're competing within yourself because no matter what happens, as long as the class gets the required number of points at the end of the year, if all the classes in all the levels get the target score, you all get the Class Excellence Award. So, classroom management is happening at the same time they are having fun. Okay, they're having fun. And they are able to achieve this because they themselves have their own checklist. The class, that's why I'm reminded of that because of the simple checklist, no? They have their own checklist in the classroom. Your students have their own checklist in the classroom and they will see it. And you just have to remind them, okay, I was told by Mr. So and so, no, that your class was not behaved a while ago. What's our goal? What's our objective? What's our class goal? Okay, here. So they're reminded and we all help each other. So class advisors, subject teachers, uh, principal, level coordinators, we are all helping each other out in order to achieve classroom management in the proper sense of the word. And let me conclude with this. Okay. This is what you call the classroom management quadrant. Okay. So in the axis rather, you have the support. The x-axis is the one on top. No, you have the support. The support could be how you respond. Okay. So the support could be high or low. On the other hand, the y-axis, the one on the left side, no, you have here the control or the demandingness, how you demand to the students. Is it low or is it high demand or high control? Okay. Now, which quadrant would be best for us? Let me begin with the first quadrant. This is the one on the upper left, no? The authoritative. Authoritative. In the authoritative quadrant, there's high support and high control. Is this good? The answer is yes. This is the best. If you have high support, okay, and you have high control, that means your classroom will be structured, caring classroom. You have high expectations and you build respect and engagement. You are authoritative, not authoritarian. Okay? On the other hand, on the upper right side, there is the so-called authoritarian. Okay, authoritarian. There's low support, but there's high control. No, these are the teachers who are strict, little warmth. Okay, thinking that controlling the class will be the best without realizing that again, it's not control, it's leadership. Management is not control. Please keep that in mind. If this is a good key takeaway for us, management is not control, it's leadership. Okay, very strict yan. Can lead to fear. The students are afraid of you. You enter the classroom, they're scared of you. Okay? That's okay, they're quiet. Yeah. You think they're quiet, but is there success inside the classroom? They're afraid. No? There's fear. They might even end up to have some traumatic experiences because of the strict teacher. On the lower right-hand corner, okay, lower right quadrant rather, there's what we call a permissive class. Okay, there's kind teacher but with few boundaries. Sige, hayaan nyo na, mag-ingay. You be noisy, it's okay. As long as I'm popular. Wow. Okay? Students may like the teacher, but they lose focus. Students say, oh, our teacher is so kind, sir. But how's the class going? When you enter the classroom, it's like, there's chaos. I have experienced this myself. I have a co-teacher who was a former student, okay, in Southridge. He became my co-teacher. And then one time the class was so noisy. I went inside. I thought there was no teacher. And then I saw him. He was there by the whiteboard. And then I go, oh, I'm so sorry. I thought there was no teacher. That's permissive. And lastly, this is the worst kind. If authoritative would be the best, the worst kind would be the low support and low control. Neglectful. Bahala na kayo sa buhay nyo. In English, you're left on your own. I don't care. Okay? Because you're disengaged. No structure. No? Often leads to chaos. This is the real chaotic classroom. You don't care. Just let things be. I had a co-teacher before who would cover the window by the door, thinking that, we think that there's an important activity, so he doesn't want us to look inside, only to find out the students told us that the teacher was asleep in class. That is neglectful. That is neglectful, my dear teachers. We don't want to be there. We want to be at the authoritative quadrant. High control, high support. And I'd like to end with this. Key takeaways. You either manage the class or the class manages you. That's why establish routines. But, my dear teachers, I would want you to take some time and write your own key takeaway. You can use the classroom management is not control but leadership. And remind yourself that you either manage the class or the class manages you. That's why establish routines. And then let this be a challenge to everyone who are here present. And I guess those who will be watching the videos this video later on. What one action will you commit to so your class no longer manages you, but you lead them to learning? That is a good challenge to each and every one of us. What would be that one action? Okay? So that your class will no longer manage you, but instead you lead them to learning. Okay? Think of all the things that we have discussed today. Which one, okay, would you want to practice in your respective classrooms? And then encouragement. My dear teachers, I would like to tell you this, that classroom management is not perfection, but it's progress and persistence. There's no such thing as a perfect class, but there's a class that continues to progress because you persisted to practice classroom management. The picture on your right says it all. These are 6 teachers of Paris Northfield School. We went to Banawe, Sagada, and Baguio over the summer. And these are the oldies, actually. The young ones didn't join us. And the photographer told us, Sirs, can you please make this, do this, and come up with the shape of a star? And then look up. And then we all did and followed what he said. And then we all looked up. Then I realized that, hey, wait a minute. I can actually equate this to the star as our students. And we look up because we would want our students to shine brightly like a diamond. And then when they do shine brightly, it's because of us. We are able to manage them rightly. That is why, my dear teachers, let us practice classroom management and practice it well. And I would like to end this talk with a simple thank you. And I hope that this presentation, you're able to learn something new in, as my topic says, calm in the chaos, classroom management that actually works. Let it work, my dear teachers. And don't forget, once it works, tell your students, you know the drill, you know the drill. A pleasant afternoon to everyone. This is Ferold Ray Michaela Regencia. You can reach out to me at Ferold Rutch Regencia on my Facebook page if you have some questions or whatever clarifications or sharing. No sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rehensha.
I'll stop sharing.
We now have the QR code flashed on screen, as well as the link to claim the certificates. You can now click on the link and fill up the form. And great. Okay. And as the announcement there says, for inquiries or requests for recording or certificate links, send an email to activities.catalyst@gmail.com. Okay, thank you once again, Mr. Rehensha. You're going to see him again in some of our other future sessions. Tomorrow, there is none. Okay, so the next session is going to be on Wednesday. Let me first end the recording.